Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Little Hen says it's time to rock and roll.
All you people are so scared of me.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Man, that's just me.
I'm Batman.
This is Sparta!
There is a tiger in the bathroom!
I'm an excellent driver.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Tarzan.
Tarzan. Oh, I see.
Oh, I see. Tarzan? Oh, I see.
No. I'm Jane.
No. I'm Jane.
Hello and welcome to this week's Monday Movie Show. Perfect timing for my phone to go off there, wasn't it? I'll move it away.
I didn't actually hear anything, so you could have got away with that completely because the music was still sort of fading out.
I'd still prefer to actually own up to my misgivings, what happened there, but my phone decided to buzz, and so that indicates I have to get in a text message or some other stuff, but nobody cares about that. It is the 11th of, I was going to say August, but I've had a head scrambling week, so I think I'm actually in August. We're in July. We're not that far through the year. We're still quite the way through the year, but we're not that far through the year. It is 9:30 at night. We were supposed to go live at 9 or 9:30. Who cares? I said last week there's a chance we might be going 9:30 because I was going to see the new Ghostbusters movie. I managed to see an early screening, so we were supposed to be 9, so it's 9:30. But who cares anyway? People listen to the show in podcast form, so who cares what time we're all live? We're looking at a few films this week. We're actually changing things up just a smidge, and we're doing a little bit of a twist on the show. So in the cinema section, you're taking over the two main releases of the week. You're looking at...
we have the first film sort of be going through the main film will be The Legend of Tarzan, being the reason why there was a clip from the Disney Tarzan on the opening show. So we have that sort of the main one, but then also joining that in cinema releases this week is the new Nicolas Winding Refn film, The Neon Demon, much controversially sort of lauded movie, and then also we are then covering, because of the whole weird releases, the way they do them and everything, Ghostbusters is now officially on pre-release sort of thing, isn't it? It's, you know, what is it? It's not previews, is it? It's actually the release of Monday today, isn't it?
Well, I'll be reviewing it, so that's why Andy's doing Legend of Tarzan and Neon Demon. So I'll be reviewing Ghostbusters. It's on preview.
Yeah.
It needs to be classified as preview because its official release date is Friday.
Yeah.
It hasn't got an official release date of Thursday. It's on a preview 4-day, like Now You See Me Too did last week.
Which we'll also have a quick sort of go through again, because we did review it last week under the same conditions as we are reviewing Ghostbusters this week.
Which it's a common thing from now on. There is still a few more films released this year which is going to follow exactly the same blueprint of being released on a Monday preview-wise, so there's a chance that we'll get to review them early. On Blu-ray and DVD, again, we're switching things up where Andy takes one review and I review the rest, so we're looking at these films.
Yeah, we have The Return of Po, the panda, in Kung Fu Panda 3. And then we have some sort of, in fact they're all kind of sequels. You've got that, you've got Allegiant, which is the third in the Divergent series, a new film from the Cohen brothers with Hail Caesar, new horror from with The Boy, a kind of classical animation with puppetry animation in Anomalisa, and then rounded out with a couple of small films with Mustang and I Lived.
Yeah, and on top of that, TV Movie of the Week, the Blu-ray DVD Top 10, the UK Box Office Top 10, but we start things off as we normally do with some movie news.
Yep, some bit of casting news this week as usual. Seems to be a regular thing now. Kiefer Sutherland has been confirmed to be making an appearance of some sort in the Flatliners remake. It's kind of timely, this, because I caught the end of Flatliners on television. I can't remember if it was actually last night or the night before, but it was on late. And I was late getting home, and I put it on the TV, and it was on, and I ended up sort of having it on while I was doing things and watching it again and remembering it, because I hadn't seen it in quite a while. But I mean, because it's 1990, it's 26 years old, and we're getting a remake of that, not a sequel. It's been sort of confirmed, but Keith Sutherland will be making the customary cameo. The remake is being directed by the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the original Girl with the Dragon Tattoos, Niels Arden Oplev. So I mean, I expect it will be something very, very visually, a good visual treat, because of the fact of that he is a great visual director.
Yeah, interesting that he's popping up in the film. It doesn't know if he's going to be playing his character like he did in the original Flatliners. I haven't seen that film in a very long time as well.
The only thing that's said about him is he's going to be playing a seasoned doctor. So I mean, he could be basically playing the same character years later. But I wonder if they're going to try and do the kind of the meta thing of that he, that they drop subtle hints to him actually being the same character even though he's not, that kind of a thing, so they can get away with saying, oh, it's a remake, but it's a sequel, but it's a remake.
Maybe. Well, you know how Hollywood works these days.
Nobody knows how Hollywood works these days, darling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If that was the case, then everybody would actually have the perfect movie plot, or the perfect movie out there if they knew how Hollywood worked.
Yeah. Other news casting wise, the Nice Guys, the recent movie, which we will get onto in a minute's time. The actress in that, Angus Rice, who played the daughter of Ryan Gosling's character in the film, has now joined the cast of Spider-Man: Homecoming. And although I don't have the list, we've had that's in the last couple of weeks. We've had a dozen actors confirmed to the cast of that, something like that. Nothing official yet, but the rumour is going around that she is playing the character of Gwen Stacy, that was played by Emma Roberts in Emma Stone even, in the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies. The Amazing Spider-Man films. Spider-Man: Homecoming has got a release set for July 2017. It's being directed by John Watts.
Yep. And I haven't a clue who she is because I've still not seen the Nice Guys.
No, you still haven't seen Nice Guys. You don't know who John Watts is though, but John Watts directed a little film that I reviewed a little while ago called Cop Car with Kevin Bacon.
And didn't he do something else as well?
Well, he has done other things as well, but the Cop Car was like his last thing, I think, that got him the recognition and got him basically the job, because it's a very cleverly edited and cleverly helmed film. It's not outstanding, but it does kind of raise eyebrows and.
Yeah, I knew I recognised his name. He also did Clown.
Ah.
The horror film that has only just been released in America. We got it about 68 months ago. So for Eli Roth, he directed that. So I heard the name before. So you've seen Cop Car, and not seen Clown.
No,
and I've seen Clown, but not seen Cop Car.
Yeah, we're both
probably
probably
teed up for Spider-Man: Homecoming. Then aren't we?
We're both probably going to see Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Probably,
yeah. Okay, I got two more pieces of news. I'm going to keep the big one back, but smaller one again. A little bit of news, not casting, but release date for Tomb Raider. The remake reboot of that, according to website The Wrap, has now got a release date set of March 16th, 2018. This is the film, obviously, that's having Alicia Vikander cast in the title role of Lara Croft, and this is taking place at MGM and Warner Brothers. So, I mean, it's being directed by a guy who I have no idea who he is, named with an awesome name. It's like Oliver Megaton, but just much more, I don't know, roaring sort of thing, because his name's Raw Uthog.
Uthog.
Is it Uthog? It's
yeah.
I like Uthog better because it's like roar, it's, I don't know, it's kind of cavemanish.
No, it's Raw Uthog, who did Fitwild, or Cold Prayer, which is an old-fashioned style teen slasher movie set in the middle of nowhere in a cabin in the snowy mountains. Which there is 3 of them, and he directed the first 2. As a matter of fact, if you buy it in the UK, you actually get the first 2 films together, and they're actually really good. Apart from the third one. The third one's not very good at all, but the first 2 is actually really good.
Okay, my big piece of news is regarding the Alien franchise, as it's always sort of ongoing things through this. It's now been confirmed that by Entertainment Weekly that Neil Blomkamp's upcoming Alien 5 movie, as it's being called, will in fact erase Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection from the series history. Sigourney Weaver is quoted on the website as saying, "It's just as if, the path forks and one direction goes off to 3 and 4 and another direction goes off to Neil's movie."
It's an interesting way to do that, because he had dropped hints before Alien 5 was put on the back burner for Alien Covenant that he was going to disregard 3 and 4. 3 and Resurrection, technically 4. So it's an interesting idea to do that. How he's going to handle it, though, I'm not sure. He's a good screenwriter. He's able to create really good stories, Neil Blomkamp. I just don't know how he's going to do it. Gives us enough time to think and gestate in our brains on how he's actually going to handle it.
Just a chest hugger.
Yeah, the way the third one actually starts, it pretty much starts where the second one ends. Pretty much. There isn't like a big, huge, massive gap there.
No.
You can sort of properly, in a way, disregard the fourth Resurrection if you want to, considering that Ripley's a clone in there, so you could go down clone territories. I don't know how he's going to disregard Alien 3. I
have a fond place in my heart for Alien 3 because I do love David Fincher. As much as it was a bit of a cluster F-bomb film, because of all the problems they had in production and stuff, I do really like it. I like the extended version that was released. It's a really good film. If you haven't seen it, you do need to check it out. It's available on all the DVD and Blu-ray special box sets you get. You have it on there as an extra feature, and it's a really good. It's a very different version, although it's still a lot of the same things, but there's a lot of things changed in it which make a lot more sense. The thing is, we can expect, I think, a lot more details coming out on this in a couple of weeks' time, because there's San Diego Comic Con happening on the 23rd of July. And at this, apparently, there's Hall H, which is the big famous hall that always has the big things happening in it every time. And this year they are having a special Q&A for the 30th anniversary of Aliens, which is getting a special new Blu-ray re-release in September. And at the Q&A, going to be present is James Cameron, Sigourney Weaver, producer Gail Ann Hurd, actors Bill Paxton, Lance Henriksen, Paul Reiser, Michael Bain, and Carrie Henn.
See, that's a really good lineup. I was just thinking in my brain, though, where I think Blomkamp could actually do it. It's because I can't remember in the third one if it was ever mentioned how long she was in cryostasis, how long she was actually asleep for.
No, they didn't say a time.
If that's the case, that's the loophole that Blomkamp can exploit, because he could just do it that the ship, the escape pod that Newt and Ripley and Jonesy the cat was in was actually hijacked by another ship or something like that, and they woke them up from there so they could use the Newt character in Alien 5. So that would disregard that in a way and just follow on from Alien 2. Aliens. So
it does have problems, but it will all be one of those things that Neil Blomkamp, I'm sure, will deal with or reference in some way to cover the problems that it will cause for continuity.
Yeah, and I know that me and a couple of friends who I know who are big Alien film fans will be discussing this for quite a while to come. And I actually know somebody who thinks that Alien 3 is the best out of the lot of them.
I do as well, kind of. I love the pacing of it. As much as I do love Aliens is a fantastic film. But it's just that I love the suspense of Alien 3.
So I definitely know that I'm going to have a conversation with a few people for quite a while down the road regarding Alien 5 and Alien Covenant as well when that comes out in 2017 next year. News I've got, it's been revealed why the sequel to the Lego movie has been delayed. This is due to the film getting script rewrites. Warner Brothers were not happy with what Phil Lord and Christopher Miller wrote, so they've brought in BoJack Horseman writer Raphael Bob Waxberg to do a full rewrite of the script. Not a partial rewrite, a full rewrite of the script. and Phil Lord and Christopher Miller will now only be producers on the film.
Okay, not happy about that because of the fact of that these guys clearly are the ones who know what they're doing, and studio then interfering, not good. I think if there's a problem with the story and the script, maybe then get someone to rewrite it, but then give it to them to do a rewrite of it themselves afterwards and put in those elements that they know how to do.
Yeah. I've not seen BoJack Horseman. I've seen little tiny smidgens of it, but I haven't sat down and fully watched an episode of it, so I don't know what his writing is like. It could be really humorous.
I have no idea.
So I might have to give BoJack Horseman a little watch to see what kind of comedy it is.
It's got that kind of a title, so you don't know.
Yeah. It's been announced that John Chu's Mr. Sulu will be the first openly gay character in the Star Trek universe in the new Star Trek Beyond film. This news, however, has not made George Takei happy. He's really annoyed the fact that they are making Mr. Sulu an openly gay character.
There's been a big kind of thing about this, and a lot of people getting a bit sniffy about it. I, as a big Star Trek fan who grew up watching Star Trek and everything like that, I have no problem with it at all. As long as it's handled in the right way in the film. Obviously, you've got to wait to see that till 2 weeks' time. 22nd? Yeah. And I have no problem with that. Other people, I can understand them having an issue with it, but I think they're overreacting to it a bit. I can remember, because Star Trek's one of those things. Star Trek is one of those things where it's been very advanced over the years of things it's done. You had the first interracial kiss in the original Star Trek series. You had all those sort of things going on. You had a lot of those topical subjects covered in the many series and the films over the years. And I think apparently at one point there was one of the films was going to have a gay character, a new character in it, and then that character was actually killed in the film. And I'm kind of glad they didn't. They apparently either filmed it or didn't film it, but it was left on the cutting room floor sort of thing. And I'm glad they didn't do that, because I think that would have been more of an insult of the thing of, oh yeah, here's a gay character, let's kill him, sort of thing. So I'm glad that hasn't been done. So I think as long as it's done right, as it's done respectfully, as if it's, and the thing is, they've got to be diplomatic with it to everyone. They can't just make it so that it'll be, this group will like it, this group won't care, sort of thing. It's got to be diplomatically handled. But Star Trek is the perfect medium for that to happen.
Yeah, because that's what Gene Roddenberry wrote. He wrote equality for all. Yeah. So it doesn't matter if you're gay, straight, bi, trans, purple, orange, blue, have 10 tentacles, have 16 eyes. Who cares?
Exactly.
Everybody should be treated exactly the same. So they're just finally only getting to including a gay character in the series now. So well done for them to actually do that. It's about time. It should have happened ages ago, just to make things just seem normal.
There was an interesting thing in an episode of Enterprise, the last series, where they had an episode where they met an alien species that was like a 3-sex race. So there wasn't just a male and female, there was 3 sexes, and they tried to kind of do that a bit. And it wasn't an entirely successful episode because it kind of got a bit sidetracked, but it showed signs of like, okay, we're actually approaching this subject in a way that works for science fiction. And maybe this is a bit bluntly handling it by just going, oh, this character's gay now, but I don't think that's a problem, again, as I say, if it's handled right.
So a 3-sex race, male, female, and Donald Trump.
Oh, that's just wrong. That's just wrong.
The 8th Saw film will go into production this September. The only thing known about the film is that it will be called Saw Legacy. Yes, the 8th Saw film.
Yeah, Bourne film beat that to it by 4 films.
The 8th Saw movie.
Yeah.
8 of them.
I've seen parts of 1 to 4.
1's a thriller, more of a thriller rather than a horror movie. It's just after that's when it got into the horror territory.
You know what they need to do? They need to change it and stop it being a torture porn film. They need to actually do it and just have it be, build the tension. Don't show the gore. Set it up and do the whole, people's imagination thing. And they won't do that.
They need to go back to its roots and go back to the feel of the first one. That's what made the film feel really different. Have they
ever done a thing where one of the films takes place while one of the other films is happening?
Nope.
They should do that.
Because the weird, it actually ties pretty much in a big massive bow. The end of Saw 3D really does wrap it up because it just becomes one big massive circle. So Saw 3D ends, Saw starts, and then it just continually just does that. So this one's going to have to be a completely new story in a way, because it'll not be able to tie itself into Saws 1 to 7. So it might be the start of a new Saw, whatever you're going to call 7 films in a series.
Well, should they start calling it Seesaw? Because I've seen it.
No, because that joke wore thin after the first one.
Okay.
So yeah.
It's the first time I thought about it. I actually just thought that. No, I've never heard that joke, honestly.
Yeah, that joke wore thin after the first film. I went to see Saw. Did you? Jackie Chan has joined the cast of The Nut Job 2. They're making a sequel to The Nut Job. He will play a Kung Fu mouse. Typecasting much?
Okay.
Yeah. You haven't seen The Nut Job, have you?
I have.
Have you?
Yeah. I think I laughed once.
I reviewed and I didn't even laugh at all.
That's the one that has Bruce Willis in it, doesn't it? And it's like there's a squirrel. It was a joke with the squirrel that made me laugh. It was like
it's just the squirrels trying to get these nuts out of this factory.
There was a squirrel that's like runs really fast and it tries to run on the laminated floor and it can't get a grip, and the guy says use your paws, and it just runs straight into a wall full speed because it actually then gets a grip, and that was it. Yeah, that's all I remember from it.
I was explaining the plot of the
film.
Yeah. It seems that the X-Men universe is going to get bigger with 3 spin-offs and a new X-Men movie. Spin-off wise, there is director Tim Miller's Deadpool 2, which starts shooting in January, I think it is. The Fault in Our Stars director Josh Boone's new mutant film, with no indication of what it's going to be. And Doug Liman's Gambit movie is finally all getting shot. All 3 will begin shooting in 2017, so the Gambit movie is definitely still happening. And Simon Kinberg has also indicated that he is now writing the new X-Men movie.
Yeah, they're going to do another X-Men trilogy. That's basically why they set up the younger, the next generation sort of version of things. Just don't have it be as boring as Apocalypse.
Exactly. Final piece of news, and this is my nut job news of the week. I can't believe this could even be happening, but according to a recent interview. Now, the interview was done in Loaded magazine, so you can take this piece of news with a pinch of salt if you want to. With Christopher Lambert, the actor has revealed that a 3rd Mortal Kombat movie is in the works, and that it will feature time travel.
Did you ever see the series?
What, the TV series?
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat Conquest?
Yeah. It was terrible. It was really terrible.
Yeah, from what I saw, it was horrible. The animated series wasn't very good neither.
I never saw the animated series. I lost interest with the TV series. Yeah,
the sequel is awful. The first one doesn't hold up today, but it's just laughably cheesy. And the best thing about coming from the Mortal Kombat series was that straight to YouTube short stuff that Dan Trachtenberg, I think, worked on something to do with it. So yeah, that was the best stuff to come from Mortal Kombat when it comes to anything else apart from video games. So a 3rd Mortal Kombat movie starring Christopher Lambert, and it's supposedly reprising his role as Raiden, and it's going to feature time travel. Brilliant. The UK box office top 10, and at number 10 is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows.
Yeah, it is basically 10 up to 11, and with the whole kind of in the direction of the Transformers franchise rather than being closer to the first film, which is a shame because the first one actually had something. This one just doesn't.
Yeah. And number 9 is The Jungle Book,
which is surprisingly still around in the box office, that it's still doing well, to be in there. It is an amazing film, brilliant visual feast and fun and big screen things. I mean, go and see it on the big screen while it still have a chance, because it is a big screen outing.
And yeah, and it shows Tarzan up a little bit.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, you want to do something in the jungle. The Jungle Book's how to do it. Tarzan is definitely not how to do it, but we'll get onto that a little bit later on. And number 8 is Alice Through the Looking Glass.
I still haven't seen this yet.
Yeah, Sacha Baron Cohen, Mia Wasikowska, they saved the film itself. The rest of it is very dull. Number 7 is The Nice Guys,
which I said about. We've got the actress from that is now going to be in the Spider-Man film. I do love Nice Guys. I think it's very much kind of Shane Black's refined movie of what he's been doing before. It does borrow very heavily from his previous films, especially Kiss Kiss Bang Bang with the characters and the plot and the dialogue. But it's fun, it's witty, it's a good laugh, it's got some nice action in there, and it's a good kind of noir throwback, which I really, really enjoyed about it. It's a good feel to the film.
And number 6 is Me Before You.
I still haven't seen this one yet either.
Yeah, Amelia Clarke, Sam Claflin. I'm getting his name right now. Woohoo! Well done, me. It is very straightforward drama kind of stuff, and I've said this week in, week out. It just doesn't do anything different to what we've seen before. Another film you've not seen at number 5 is The Conjuring 2: The Enfield Case. If you're interested in the Enfield Case, this film doesn't do it justice, but it sort of still works because of the way James Wan directs horror movies. He's sort of like looking as being sort of like the saviour of horror films over the last like 5 years, which is, I can see where that's coming from, because he has made some really important horror films. The story behind the Enfield Case is really interesting, so go and read that. Watch the dramatisation of it that had Timothy Spall in it. It was on BBC Two earlier on in this year.
That was on Sky.
BBC Two actually showed it, didn't they?
No, it was Sky Living showed it.
Okay, then, well, just watch that anyway, because that was a more sedate version of the things that were happening in The Conjuring 2, but it's still, I liked it anyway. And number 4 is Independence Day Resurgence.
Basically, it's Independence Day on steroids. Bigger ship, bigger effects, loads of CG ones instead of the practical things. It is a film which has been edited up to the max, that it doesn't have the whole thing of what the first one had was an impressive, like, kind of like, oh, look at this effect, this is pretty, this is impressive, this is really good looking. Have a good look at this, you know, we'll show you this for a good 30 seconds, whereas now it's literally like 5 seconds, oh, there you go, what was that? Who flashed what? Who did what? Someone shot something? I don't know. I'm going, you know, what's happening?
Yeah, the thing is, though, what I find funny about this is Roland Emmerich has lost the two things that makes his films watchable: their cheesiness and just the spectacle. With this, he's lost it. You watch things like Godzilla is a terrible film, but it's very cheesy, and it's got the spectacle to it. When you see Godzilla for the first time, it is good. Oh my god, look at the size of that. Independence Day, it's cheesy, it's got some very cheesy dialogue, but it's got a spectacle to it. The Day After Tomorrow, 2012, they're quite cheesy films, but they've got the spectacle there as well, and they team up very well to it. In this one, the spectacle is boring, and the cheesiness is just not there. The cheesiness works for him, and he can't even bring that, the things that work for him, he can't even bring that into this film.
Yeah, I mean, you got the whole thing of that as well. The characters are in it. Even the characters at the back, 'cause only a few of them return, but the characters in the new ones, you just don't care by the end of the film. You have no feeling. I mean, in a lot of his other films, end of the first Independence Day, you actually cared if the characters made it or not. Day After Tomorrow, you really did actually get into some of the characters, and you're like, I really want this character to be okay. And even to a degree, lesser degree, but 2012 had that. You know, they're just very, very broadly basic. Just, oh yeah, it's a guy who's got to do this, and that's it. I don't care. You don't know. There's no point.
And number 3 is New for Central Intelligence,
which is I want to say a surprise, but it's not, you know, that great of a surprise. It's just a surprise that it's not as bad as you expect it to be, because of the fact it's got Kevin Hart in it. The Rock is actually funny. It's probably The Rock's most bizarre performance. It's basically a matchup of Drive Along mixed in with Night and Day, the Tom Cruise film, and The Rock is just basically channeling Tom Cruise from that film. That's not to say it's a bad thing, because as bad as Night and Day was, Central Intelligence kind of knows that, and in a sense is taking the mickey out of it, and it's kind of fine. It's got the predictableness of that, but it's, you know, by the end of it you go, you know what, I walked out, I enjoyed that. I actually like Kevin Hart in that a lot more than I thought.
Yeah, and I've just looked here. He's got a lot of films in post-production and filming at the moment, The Rock. San Andreas 2, Rampage, Doc Savage, Fast 8, Baywatch, Journey 3, From the Earth to the Moon, Jumanji, Journey to the Center of the Earth 4, Shazam.
Wait, there's a 4? Is there 3?
Yeah, Journey 3. That's what Journey to the Center of the Earth is. They just dropped the Center of the Earth part. But Journey 3, From Earth to the Moon. He's a very, very busy person.
Yeah.
And wrestling, if he ever crops up in that again.
No idea.
Number 2, now, is a new entry for Absolutely Fabulous, the movie. And before you get into this, if you watch any YouTube videos, which my guess is a lot of people do. You get adverts before the start of a YouTube video, and the trailer for Absolutely Fabulous, the movie, has been cropping up. And on that trailer, in the biggest letters possible, it says the UK's #1 film. What position has it gone in?
Number 2.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think
I don't know where they're getting that from then.
I think it's because of estimates, but then on the last day, obviously they make the estimates up and they go, it's looking like it's going to be this, and then what happened on the last day, because it was, you know, a kids thing, that's the other film, which we'll get to in a minute, at #1, which overtook it, so that kind of blew that out of the water.
The thing is, though, the final figures for the UK box office top 10 ends on Monday. So Monday of last week, when the final figures were actually revealed and shown.
Yeah.
Because publishers are not allowed to actually divulge the figures box office wise until the Tuesday. So they'll have been told from the Monday of last week. I only started to see the adverts with the strapline saying the UK's #1 film from around about last Wednesday or Thursday. So they had time. What a screw up to make. Anyway, Absolutely Fabulous, the movies, and you went to your number 2.
Yeah, it's not deserving of either being at #1 or at number 2, really. It's not even really deserving being in the top 10. It's very much the whole British TV comedy series taken to film, and by the numbers, not funny, not anything special. I laughed once in it at a joke which is in the trailer as well, of somebody getting tasered, and it's just it honestly, I actually heard someone say about it, and they kind of hit it spot on. It is people putting together a script so they can go off and fly off to a holiday somewhere and be somewhere for a week, you know, nice abroad, hot weather, and film there, just to get a break.
And at #1 is The Secret Life of Pets.
Yeah, which is a great animation. It's funny, it's witty, it's the whole thing of, it's actually kind of it's like Illumination Studios have kind of gone, okay, we want to do a Disney type film. We don't want to have a film that is, you know, Minions again. And they've tried doing, you know, kind of a family kids thing more than that doesn't have the bizarreness of the Minions and the like in it, and it works. It's funny, it's witty. It's anyone who's got a pet of any sort will recognise something in it of their pets, you know, and that's what it's good that it connects with people on that level.
Mine was the headbanging dog.
Oh,
I'm sure that my dog used to listen to rock music, because every single time you used to like pull her cheeks a little bit or tell her off, she used to go a glom 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 to you. And I'm sure she listened to my music collection. But yeah, I really like The Secret Life of Pets. It took $103 million in its opening weekend at the US box office.
Yeah, it deserved to. It
which
really
is
did.
insane. Nobody predicted that it would do that well, and it's done absolutely insane for itself. And well done to Illumination Studios. You're able to actually create more new properties apart from Minions stuff. I want more Minions though, and there is a Minion short at the start of it. Right, on to the new releases of the week.
Yep, the Legend of Tarzan, which is now it's a kind of a new thing they're doing with Tarzan. It is a new kind of an attempt to start off a new franchise, but it is taking place after kind of the Tarzan story that we know. So it's not doing the typical Tarzan thing of setting up, you know, a baby who grew up to be raised by the apes and that all happening. But that, by the time we start the film, has already happened. We do see it occasionally in flashbacks and things, but the main crux of the story is it starts off with a now sort of acclimated Tarzan, or as he is known by his proper name, I forgot the name now, John Clayton, that's it, who now lives in London with his wife Jane. The two of them have a bit of a strained relationship because they have tried having a child and had issues with that since. Everything sort of seems to be going okay for them, but obviously it's a different world to the world that he grew up in. It's a different world to the world she kind of knew, because of the fact of that Jane also kind of grew up in Africa in the sort of same settings, and everything is okay, except for the problem then that at one point a character played by Samuel L. Jackson turns up and tries to convince him that he needs John Clayton's help to go back to Africa because of the fact that he's investigating issues that the Congo has been kind of split up between these different nations, and that the person who's in charge of the Congo, the King of Belgium, is basically he is kind of stripping the land, and the way he's doing that is by basically enforcing slavery, which has been made illegal now. And it all kind of ties into the whole thing of slavery at the time. Obviously, with Samuel Jackson's character being a black character, that is tied into it and such as well. So it kind of makes sort of allegories to that as well. So it's a case of that. Meanwhile, that's all happening and in Africa, you have, as we're introduced to early on in the film, the man who's kind of the person working for the Belgian king, Leon Rom, played by Christoph Waltz, who is in Africa and has made a deal with the local kind of the local warlord of the area, because of the fact that he wants to get the diamonds for his king, and of course as part of that he has agreed to deliver Tarzan to the sort of the local ruling king, who wants, well, basically revenge on him. Here's a clip.
My king's army is due in 6 days. All I've left to do is deliver Tarzan to Chief Bongo. I'm aware of his obsessive desire to kill your husband, but I've yet to discover the cause. What did Tarzan do?
Killed his only son.
Oh.
And get ready, because that is nothing compared to what he will do to you.
Your husband's wildness disturbs me more than I can easily express. Whereas your spirit... Lady Clayton's finished.
A normal man can do the impossible to save the woman he loves. My husband is no normal man.
So you have that all going on. You have Jane there in the clip you heard played by Margot Robbie. Alexander Skarsgård of True Blood fame plays Tarzan, or John Clayton. And you have this film which is basically, well, a little bit of a mess in more ways than one. You have the issue of, you heard in that clip there, Christoph Waltz, first of all, is basically doing a version of Colonel Lander from Inglourious Basterds, where he's basically the guy who's there, he's arranging it all, he's doing it all, he doesn't really get his hands dirty at all for much, and he is the guy who's like, you know, he's a very clean guy. He sits there, he's eating a meal, and he's, you know, talking, and it's literally a case of that they've gone, oh, we need someone who's going to sit and have etiquette and, you know, stand out. I mean, oh yeah, we'll get Christoph Waltz because he can do that. Then you have the whole thing of Samuel L. Jackson's character, who is apparently based partly on a real character, real person, and it's a weird thing because he just feels so out of place and shoehorned into the film. First of all, as an attempt to be kind of the sidekick humour, which doesn't really, it kind of switches between his character being someone who is, you know, all there for these proper reasons and everything, and then is, you know, doing the one-liner thing of, you know, cracking the jokes and, oh, you know, and giving the look of, oh, we're running again sort of thing, and that happening. You have Alexander Skarsgård, who is a perfectly fine actor, unless he's doing something like stripping off his shirt, because then it's literally like he goes, oh, I'm not wearing a shirt, I don't have to act in this scene, I can just walk around naked, and yeah, you know, it's just, it's literally just a case of the, and I don't know if it's down to him or if it's down to David Yates' direction. He's basically gone, yeah, you know, you're doing this scene, you're doing this, and it hasn't given him direction or something on what the character's doing, because there's scenes where he's trying to do. And it's a weird thing they've done basically by casting him, because he's not, English isn't his native language. You do have the accent coming into it, and it kind of plays in the same way you have Christopher Lambert doing a Scottish accent for Highlander. That, you know, it's the fact of that he's been around. He grew up there. He didn't originally learn an English accent, so it's perfectly fine sort of thing. You know, and that kind of works, but it's just very off-putting, and his accent it's almost like he's trying to put on an English accent like the character's trying to put one on, and it's again just a distraction thing. And talking of accents, Margot Robbie's accent, it wavers at times. It starts off, you think, is it supposed to be English? Is it supposed to be Australian, which she is? Is it supposed to be American, which the character's supposed to be?
South African is actually better than English, Australian, or American.
It just goes all. It wavers like a Russell Crowe accent. It really does. Margot Robbie is the female Russell Crowe when it comes to accents, and it's a film that it's kind of like it's got a list of ticking the boxes of like, yeah, we need to do this, we need to have the sidekick thing, we need to have the jokes. It doesn't have anything going for like the first half an hour, 40 minutes, where I honestly sat there and I was kind of starting to get bored, and then it started doing things, and it kind of did get interesting a little bit for a while, but by the end of it, I wasn't interested. I wasn't intrigued with it. I don't have any care for this version of Tarzan. I haven't watched a lot of the Tarzan films, but I've seen a fair number of them, and this is not. It's not a terrible one, but it just doesn't have any of the interest, and doesn't have any of the character in it that makes you want to go, I want to see more of this Tarzan. I really couldn't care less. If they're trying to do a franchise, this is not the way to go about it. You need to have something interesting, you need to have a good character, you need to have an actor in the role who seems as if he's interested in it, because Alexander Skarsgård doesn't really seem that interested in it. And I don't think he's a bad actor, so I think it's just that for some reason, whatever it is, he's just doing the film. It's just basically like a paycheck film, and that's what it is. It's got all the ticking the boxes thing, but it doesn't actually fulfill the list of the boxes it's ticking.
See, the problem with the film is the fact that David Yates is actually pretty good with source material. You see what he did with the last few Harry Potter movies, taking especially the final book and splitting it into two, and he's one of the only directors who was actually able to do that and make the film feel really successful. Because if you look at the way films have actually done that in the past, taking the final book and splitting it into two, it never works. Yet he was actually managed to able to stretch the source material across two books, and that takes a competent director to do that. And so when you've got so many different interpretations of the source material when it comes to Tarzan, you would expect a director like him to be able to handle it really well. He's got the casting is completely all over the place. It's completely wrong. Everybody is badly casted. Everybody from Samuel Jackson to even just a small role for Jermaine Hewson, who plays the very stereotypical leader of an African tribe who wants Tarzan dead. So it's just everything is stereotypical and everything is badly cast. It's not even enjoyable to watch, because for most of the film it just plods along till it gets to the big set piece in the last 20 minutes, and then it suffers from In the Heart of the Sea syndrome, when the special effects waver so badly it makes you scratch your head thinking to yourself, are you sure this movie is like $100 million plus movie? Because if you look at the way the motion capture was done in the Jungle Book, it was really well created in that. If you look at the way the motion capture is done in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, it's brilliantly well constructed, and it's not just one, it's multiple different apes in that one, and it's multiple different animals in the Jungle Book. So it doesn't give the excuse for David Yates to create a stampede scene which looks like it came out of the Lion King's animated film rather than from a live action movie, and so the special effects get ropey, and that would have been its saving grace. It's just, it plods too much. It's not interesting at all, and the casting is so badly implemented. It's just none of the characters feel like the characters from the source material or stuff that we've seen in the past before. Jane is badly played by Margot Robbie. Alexander Skarsgård, he just doesn't bother. He can't be bothered to play Tarzan. He's just going, yes, look at me, I've got a brilliant six-pack. That's Tarzan. That's not Tarzan. It's not a very good film at all.
There's the only thing I can say about it, one thing I did like in it, and that was the whole thing of them showing, we played a clip previously at the end of the show last week, or the week before, and it was the clip of him showing to the kids, and obviously it's a clip, we played it, but if you see the video of the clip, you see they did a thing with his fists where he shows his hands on the floor and he says, I grew up climbing these, and it changed the bone structures in my hand, and you see that, and I did like that. I thought that was nicely done. It's kind of actually showed that, but it just, if they'd paid that kind of attention to the rest of the film, it could have been a great thing. but it's not.
There's one scene where he connects with a lion that he grew up with, which I actually quite liked because it added a little bit of heart there, that he was finally coming home, and when he got to the camp and they were all embracing him, you think there could be some spark of a film in here somewhere, but then it instantly just gets a bucket of water thrown over it and just completely thrown out the window.
Yeah. Okay, on to my other film, cinema released this week, a completely different kettle of fish. The Neon Demon, which is written and directed by Nicolas Winding Refn. And now, this is a bit of a difficult one to basically go through and explain, but I will do my best. It's a film about the model industry. Said about that with the character Jessie, played by Elle Fanning, who is at the start of the film just now kind of moving to Los Angeles, where she's there. She's been taken in by a woman to interview at a modelling agency. The woman interviewing her, played by Christina Hendricks, in a small cameo. She kind of talks to her about things and says, she's very pretty, asks her things. Turns out that Elle Fanning's character is only 16, and she tells her, don't be 16, tell everyone you're 19. 18's too edgy, 18's too close to the line on the nose, 19 and nobody will ask any questions and will treat you better than a 16. And it's all sort of, that kind of sets up one of the things of the view of the film. She is then sort of met by a few characters. The first one who kind of meets her and befriends her, played by Jenna Malone, is Ruby, who is a makeup artist, and kind of her way into meeting people and knowing people. Amongst the ones that she meets are a couple of other models who are slightly older, in their sort of mid-20s. You have a couple played by Bella Heathcote and Abby Lee, play Gigi and Sarah, who are of course instantly envious of her being young, looking good, sort of good skin, and very much sort of appreciated appearance, as she is sort of turns up to one of their auditions, and the photographer instantly kind of swoons over her in an almost kind of orgasmic way, while he's so bored and not interested in looking even at the other models that are there, because they're so sort of tired to him. And whereas Jessie is that that spark, that thing that is important. And just going to play a clip actually which involves this, the photographer having a discussion and explaining the whole thing of why Jessie is kind of that important, that special to him.
Dean, we're having a little debate over here and we need your expertise.
Okay.
You know Gigi, right?
Well, I mean, we just met.
Wait, will you stand up so that he can take a look at you? Go on, stand up. Well?
Well, what?
What do you think? Do you think she's beautiful?
I don't know, I mean... Yeah, I guess she's fine.
Yes, that's exactly the word that I was looking for. She's fine, right? You can sit down now, thanks. Thank you, Dean. Now, look at Jessie. Nothing fake. Nothing false. A diamond in a sea of glass. True beauty is the highest currency we have. Now, without it, she would be nothing.
So you have this thing of it. You have in the film as well. You have a sort of a small role with Keanu Reeves making an appearance. He plays the guy who is in charge of the hotel, the kind of sleazebag hotel that Jessie is staying at, and he makes this weird thing. And it's a, if you've seen Nicolas Winding Refn's films before, you obviously have the main ones being Drive and Only God Forgives. I mean, his other ones a little bit sort of subversive is Bronson, the excellent Bronson, and you also have things like Valhalla Rising, which is extremely sort of out there thing. This is more. I didn't like at all. Yeah, I had issues with that. I have to say, this is a film that is very, very hard to kind of categorize because there is this whole thing about it being very controversial, and it is. There is the first half of the film is very, very expertly handled. It's very nicely written. It's got some great dramatic scenes in it. It's got some really kind of great looking at the whole bizarreness of the modelling industry and that world. You have Elle Fanning is brilliant in the film, doing the whole kind of very sheepish kind of deer in the headlights sort of thing. And you have the sort of the relationship between her and Ruby, Jenna Malone's character. Jenna Malone is the standout of the film. She is absolutely phenomenal in this film.
She normally is.
She is, but in particular, I found her to be the very, very much the interesting character that I was really kind of going along with. It's a film though that it has, and I don't want to say for what reason because that is spoilerish, but anybody going into this should be prepared for it is rated 18 for very, very much reasons that it deserves that. It has the word controversy cannot be said enough with this film, but the second half of the film is when it goes completely out there on a couple of subjects, not just one thing, a couple of things happen, and it's just very kind of, oh wow, so much so that I haven't had an experience like this. The closest thing I would liken it to is my experience of watching Killer Joe, which is a film that I really do like. I really love that film, and it's very brilliant. It's very similar to that in the whole thing of the first half of the film is kind of nothing exceptional, but just great performances, great dialogue, great scenes, great visual sort of shot, and it's all, and then the second half of the film it really lets loose and goes way out there. This does that and then some. And you have the whole thing of, and I liken it to that scene in Killer Joe because it has the same kind of scene where you're sitting in the cinema with full people, and there were people that had to a particular thing that happened. First of all, one thing happens and something else happens later on, and both of those scenes kind of got the mixed reactions of, there were people who sat there quiet and really you could tell the tension was really uncomfortable, and then you had other people who, and I don't blame them for this, but started giggling nervously out of that. It started to really get that kind of reaction. I've heard people walk out of other screenings. Nobody walked out when I saw it, but there was that kind of thing of people were kind of like, oh my god, and oh no, and people were kind of, you heard the gasps of just, we're really going there, we're really doing that in this film, and it was genuinely one of those. It is a shocking, and I've heard the word horror described. It's not a horror, but it has that shock gasp, oh my god, things happening in it. And I mean, I could say the word. I might say to you when we're talking between the clips or something, so not on air, what it is. But it's just really one of those things.
I've got a feeling, because I think I've read a review of it, and I know lots of reviews in other places are trying their best not to spoil how the final third plays out. But I've seen one word, which I'll mention it when we play the clip for Ghostbusters. See if it is the one that you're thinking.
Yeah, and it's basically the fact that I really did enjoy it. I really do like it. I do think that though it's my least favourite film of Nicolas Winding Refn's after Valhalla Rising, because it is just a bit too abstract, and I think it's a film that he has written it, he's directed it, he's everything, but I don't think anyone's kind of said to him, well, hang on a minute, is this really what you mean it to be? And I think it gets a little bit lost because of the fact of that by the end of it it's trying to shock you. So it's basically trying to say, this is what the model industry is, this is how vapid and disgusting and bad and awful it is, and yet by doing that it kind of gets lost in its own message, and it kind of gets twisted a lot more than, it's almost like by being the message it becomes worse than the message in a sort of way, if that makes sense. It's kind of that it just gets lost a little bit. I don't think it's bad. I actually think it's a very, very good film. I do think Nicolas Winding Refn is a great director, and this is no different. Just for me, it's a little bit, as it says in it at one point, on the nose, too much, especially towards the end and things that happened in it. And that's when it kind of, as I say, people were giggling in the cinema at the end because it kind of lost them, because it just went that one step too far.
The thing is, though, I'm not averse to watching controversial films.
No.
I've seen my fair share of movies that sort of like push the boundaries. If you look at Gaspar Noé's Irreversible, that pushes the boundaries of a lot of buttons. You look at films like Seven Songs. You look at a Serbian film. There was
do you mean 9 songs or 7 songs?
9 songs, sorry. The British film, which sort of like you can deem as pornography.
Yeah.
In a way. You look at there was a film released about 18 months ago called Starry Eyes, which sort of like, by the sounds of it, looks on the same kind of qualities of what the Neon Demon looks at. So it is all about the fashion industry, but also acting as well, and how it can suck people in. So from what I'm gathering, that's what this film is actually like, and it then shows the horrific side of the model and stuff in the last third. But when Refn goes OTT,
he does, yeah. I mean, I'm just looking back. I was looking back at the films and thinking, has Nicolas Winding Refn ever done a film that wasn't rated 18? And I don't think he has. So it's just what he's like. It's like kind of like Paul Verhoeven. Paul Verhoeven is a director who grew up in a war zone, so of course his sensibilities are a bit warped for that, and that's why you have him being extremely graphically violent in, Total Recall, the original Total Recall and the original RoboCop. I like that because of the fact that it's just how he sees the world, and this is just how Nicolas Winding Refn. He it's not that he doesn't hold back, but he just goes. It's almost like why bother holding back? This is the message, sort of thing. This is what I'm trying to say, and I can't fault him for that. You can't fault him for doing something like that, but it's just the fact of that sometimes when he does it, it's almost like you can push an audience so far, and then at certain points, if you push them too far, you've lost them. And it's literally in the last kind of 10 minutes that the film really did start to lose people. And I can understand why, because it does kind of get a bit kind of like, it's surreal to a point of that, okay, what's happening sort of thing. It makes you just sit there going, really? And you just, that's it. But I liked it, but it's just, I can see how people have issues with it. It was I think it was Cannes, wasn't it? It was released, and it got a simultaneous booing and applause from people. It is one of those ones that is going to split the audience, and for I would say obvious reasons when you see it, it is a very, very kind of very mixed bag in that regard.
By the way, Nicolas Winding Refn has done a film that's not rated 18. It's called Fear X.
I've not even heard of that.
It's a movie with John Turturro in it. It's a thriller about a guy who investigates the death of his wife. And it was not rated 18. And that's the only non-18 rated film that he's made. And as a matter of fact, it's not very good. So I think he found his footing because he did Pusher. He did the original Pusher, and he did the remake of Pusher as well. And so I think he found his footing with things like Bronson and Drive and Only God Forgives, which I absolutely hated.
I think that probably I will say this, it's just a lot more like Only God Forgives than any of his other films. So in that regards, if you're not a fan of Only God Forgives, because the thing is, Only God Forgives is a very surreal film, but the reason that I like Only God Forgives more than this, as much as they're both very similar in that they have characters that are really well done, really well written, I absolutely love Kristen Scott Thomas in Only God Forgives playing such a vile character. But I mean, there is as good performances and as good characters in this, just that. I mean, Kristen Scott Thomas in that film was just amazing.
Right, we need to push on because we are strangling time. We've got quite a few films to still yet to review. Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters. Where to start with Ghostbusters? If you've been living under a rock for the last, I would say, year and a half, you'll have not seen the trouble that Paul Feig has got himself into. Originally, the film had tons of different directors. Everybody from Phil Lord and Christopher Miller was originally involved with this one, all the way back to Ivan Reitman was supposedly going to direct the third Ghostbusters film, and then it was revealed that Sony went with Paul Feig to do sort of like a reboot in a way of the Ghostbusters series, but take away the male characters and replace them with female characters, and sort of like a lot of people saw that as a controversial thing. and I had an argument with somebody on Facebook today regarding that technically we're not supposed to have an opinion that other people have, because if we do, we're classified as sheep, which is a brilliant way to look at things, because then that person is saying that my opinion is the only opinion you should have, yet if somebody agrees with them, they become sheep instantaneously. So it's a moot argument. In this case, though, what Paul Feig has done is he's replaced the male characters, like I said, with the female ones. Kristen Wiig, we're introduced to her character, Melissa McCarthy's character at the start of the film. They both play Erin Gilbert and Abby Yates. Now, Erin Gilbert, she's hoping for tenure at the universities where she's what. She's fantastic with physics, and when we first see her, she's just got a huge massive whiteboard with tons of different equations on the board there. She's about ready to teach a class. Then we've got Abby Yates, Melissa McCarthy's character, and we discover that both Abby and Erin, they used to be best friends. They wrote a book together, and Erin doesn't want this book out there, yet Abby starts to sell it constantly. And so Erin goes up to Abby to make it her stop, and then Abby reveals she's got a new partner who she's working with, who's played by Kate McKinnon, who plays Gillian Holtzman. Now, eventually they team up because they discover that there's this character who's releasing these ghosts in New York, possessing specific areas there. So not only do they team up, they need the help of a fourth one, Patty Tolan, played by Leslie Jones. They also need a bass and a receptionist, played by Chris Hemsworth. Here's a clip.
You know what I say? Let's jump ahead. Kevin dabbles in web design, and I asked him to throw together maybe a couple of logos for us. Now's your moment. Pull it out.
Oh, sure.
I feel like a lawsuit waiting to happen. Here we go.
Okay, so, what do you think of that?
Oh. Yeah, you do see how this might make us look bad, right?
Is it the boobs you don't like? Because I can make them bigger.
No, I can see them.
Yeah, I can definitely see them. You know what? I think it's not always about the end result. It's about the journey.
Well, what about this one? Nah, that's one of my favorites.
I think you might have made a mistake. I don't think that one's for us.
Oh, no, that's for you. No, I just thought the floating hot dog implies that a ghost is holding it.
Your work is more cerebral than I expected.
See some more?
Now, here's the thing with Ghostbusters. You're probably wondering where I'm actually going to fall on the fence with this. I saw this in 3D. Now, the way they were actually doing the 3D was sort of like jarring, off-putting. A lot of the beams were actually coming out of the screen. They were actually... They had it framed, so there was a border. And the beams were actually coming above the border and below the border, and it was it was a weird way to do it. And so they were sort of like jarring. I had to get my brain around that. The film itself is fine. It's okay. It's nothing to boo-hoo about. It's nothing to bad-mouth about. But it's nothing to applaud neither. Some critics have actually been saying it's much better than what they expected. I agree with that front. It is better than I expected it to be. I'm sort of like in the middle. I'm on the fence. Again, I'm looking at both ends of the argument and sort of like agreeing with people who will hate the film, but also agreeing with people who like the film. Some of the plus points of the movie is, surprisingly, the group dynamic actually works. Kristen Wiig, Melissa McCarthy, Kate McKinnon and Leslie Jones actually work together really well, especially Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy. They've both worked together on Paul Feig films in the past, so that's how the chemistry's there. The shining star is Kate McKinnon, who plays Gillian Holtzman. They're not actually carbon copies of any of the characters from the original Ghostbusters movies, which is a smart thing to do. It's not what we wanted. We didn't want female versions of the original Ghostbusters. Then the movie just, I think, would have failed more so. We need to actually have characters with their own personalities, and that's the case. Holtzman is sort of like really, really intelligent, but she's also got this dipsy side to her. Every single time she hears specific songs, she's always dancing away, and she's got these sarcastic quips every now and again. You've also got Leslie Jones as Patty, who's sort of like the most down-to-earth character out of the lot of them. She's not intelligent, but she's got a brilliant way of the land. She knows the city like the back of her hand. And then you've got Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy's character, who feeds off each other really well. because they've worked with each other character-wise in the past, and so their characters feed off each other brilliantly. Chris Hemsworth plays Kevin. Now, if you don't get on with the Kevin character after the first few minutes of seeing him, you will not get on with him through the rest of the film, because he's like that throughout the movie. He is completely thick. He is really, really thick. He thinks that he can hear with his eyes. He walks around with glasses that do not have any glass in the frame. He plays the saxophone with his ear, which is a bit strange, but he does not know how to answer a phone properly. As there's the one scene where he picks up the phone, he hears a lot of screaming down the phone, he goes nope, and puts it straight back down again. So he gets pretty much scared in that, and so if you can't latch on with his character at the start, when you first see him, you'll not get on with him at all. And so overall though, the film itself, littered with cameos. You really, 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 if you're a Ghostbusters fan, you really do need to stay right to the end of the film. The credits are actually fun, because there is a scene where Kevin, he's sort of like doing some dancing, and the credits is him just doing some dancing with a lot of people in the film itself, and so that's a lot of fun. So it makes you want to stay there to watch that all the way to the end of the credits, but you really do need to stay right to the end of the credits, because there's something really important there. So overall, I thought the film was fine. It's nothing to shout home about, but it's nothing to get angry about. And so, well done to Paul Feig. I'll give him a pat on the back for showing the naysayers. My problem with the film itself was Paul Feig, and to be honest, I would say this is his best film.
Is it better than Spy then? Because for me, Spy has been his only kind of film that I would say, yeah, okay, I'll watch that again. Any of his other films, not interested.
I didn't like Spy that much. So see, the reason why is because he wrote Melissa McCarthy as an annoying character in Spy. Again, in this one, she's not annoying at all. She is really not. And I'm finally starting to see Melissa McCarthy for a comedy actress like she's supposedly set out to be. And so she's not annoying, and that's the thing. None of the characters are annoying, because I thought Kevin, in his dipsy kind of brain dead way, works. I think Chris Hemsworth is just having a heck of a lot of fun with that character, and so it does languish a bit. It does get boring at times. You just go speed along with the film itself. The bad guy is so bad. It's just really badly created, really badly implemented in there. He's pretty much gone within like a puff of smoke. It's just all the cameos when the bad guy shows his face, like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and Slimer and Slimerette, female version of Slimer. When you see a lot of these ghosts, you think, yeah, fine, you let the bad guy off the hook a little bit, but the bad guy is bad, really badly created in the film itself. But overall, it's watchable. It's quite watchable.
Okay. Will I quickly go over Now You See Me Too then? Just go
if you
over,
have to.
Yeah. I mean, we did do a full review on it last week's show. Basically, it's because it's got the official release is kind of this week, but it was out from Monday last week, like Ghostbusters is.
Be in the chart on Wednesday.
Yeah, and it's basically it's if you've seen the first film, it's very much the same sort of thing. It's John M. Chu directing it. The first one was Louis Leterrier, and it is more the same. It does have it does try and delve into the mythology of it a bit more. The whole thing of the Shrek character, Shrek. I can't remember exactly what it is, but the character, the father of one of the characters, I won't say who, but it goes into that a bit more, and the whole thing of the eye, and it actually does kind of build on it more, but it does have the whole thing of the problem of the magic being very much cinematic magic and not proper kind of magic as you want it to be, really. So it's, more of the same. If you like the first one, you will probably get along with the second one. It's okay, just very convoluted, more so than it needs to be.
I liked the first one. I didn't like the second one because I thought the second one just didn't have the feel of the first one at all. John M. Chu is mainly noted for directing the Step Up series and directing music videos, and that's pretty much the kind of feel that it's got, apart from one scene that's too overly long involving the card trick.
Yeah. Yep.
It's just the rest of the film just has no magic there at all. It just doesn't have the three set pieces that was from the first one, which sort of like alleviated the dullest parts of the film itself. It just never has that. When it does get to the main set piece at the end of the film, it's such a damn squib The whole film itself just feels a wasted opportunity. Right, that's it for the cinema section of this week's show. We will be back in a moment after an ad break with the Blu-ray and DVD section.
The From Page to Screen Moviecast. So they have 9 times out of 10 they have to send it back to you unopened or just throw it in the garbage can.
Things don't always look exactly as we envision our life to look, but sometimes it works out and turns out even better.
Gregor Fisher, his bacon number is 2 because he was appeared with January Jones in Love Actually, and January Jones and Kevin Bacon appeared in X-Men First Class together.
I've got to say, the very Harold and Kumar 3D Christmas now, that just makes me want to rush out.
It's about the acting, about the writing. That's really what theatre is for me.
Probably had more names than Prince or whatever. Never mind, there's a joke for the oldies. Everybody's like, who's Prince? Who's he? I'd just like to see Mr. Freeze hiring his bad guys going, right, okay, so you're a psycho, right, can you ice skate? Head over to iTunes, Spreaker and Stitcher and put in the search box From Page to Screen.
And we're back with this week's home releases, including the new releases this week, which are as follows.
Well, you're looking at Kung Fu Panda 3, and then I'll be taking over the show to look at Allegiant, Hail Caesar, The Boy, Anomalisa, Mustang, and I Lived.
Yep, but of course before that, as usual, the DVD and Blu-ray top 10. Starting at number 10 with Star Wars The Force Awakens. Yeah. Number 9 is 999.
Yeah, it's a very basic, bog-standard thriller. Too many characters, way too many characters, way too many story strands. It would have been a much better, much more coherent film if it just centralised more on a few characters rather than the mess that it has.
Yeah. Goosebumps at number 8.
Again, we've said pretty much everything we can about Goosebumps. It's a fun family, sort of like spooky adventure.
It's a very much, it's like Jumanji, but with a bit of a more twist.
More like Joe Dante's The Hole.
Well, yeah. Number 7 is Alvin and the Chipmunks, the road trip even.
Yeah, not as annoying as I thought it is, but come on.
Yeah.
Stop them.
How to Be Single at number 6.
Really, really bad. It's not funny at all. A movie that's supposedly titled How to Be Single mainly centres around a lot of women just mourning the fact that they do not have a boyfriend or a relationship.
Our first of 2 new entries at number 5 is Zoolander 2.
Absolutely terrible movie. It thinks that it can get past its just absolutely no humour in it by having numerous cameos. That's not going to be the case. It will not make a really bad comedy funny. It would just not do that. There is no chemistry at all in the film. There is no plot. There is no point. It's just bad.
Number 4 is Dad's Army, making a rare move up the chart.
Yeah, I can't see why. It's a 20-25 minute idea that's stretched absolutely thinly. It's more so than a piece of tracing paper to like withstand 90 minutes, 100 minutes. It's just, it might have worked as a TV episode of Dad's Army. It doesn't work as a full-length film.
The Revenant holding steady at number 3.
Yeah, brutal, very well directed, brilliantly cinematography in the film itself. Yeah, acting wise, it's fine.
Deadpool dropping down from the top spot to number 2.
Can't believe it's been knocked off the top spot by the number 1 movie.
Yeah.
Oh God, what were people thinking? Deadpool deserves much better. It should have stayed there at number 1. It's really funny.
I think it's just everyone went out and bought Deadpool in this first week, so that's why it went in at number 1 with such probably high numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the number 1 movie, new in at the top of the chart, Grimsby.
Oh, awful. Really, really awful. As a matter of fact, if you look at all the films in this week's Blu-ray DVD top 10, there's only 3 that I can just recommend with any kind of gusto: Deadpool, Star Wars, The Force Awakens, and Goosebumps. All of the rest of the films just really avoiding. Grimsby is very, very close to the top of the pile on that lot there. It's tied with Zoolander 2. It's just awful. Sacha Baron Cohen, he just plays a really deplorable character, and the stuff that's involved in the movie, it's gross out humour to the nth degree.
Yep.
It made me actually want to watch Hangover Part 2 again. And it shows you how bad that is.
Okay, then, so moving on to the new releases, because we've got quite a few to go through in this half. Kung Fu Panda 3. It's directed by Alessandro Carloni and Jennifer Yu Nelson. It is the third in the series, carrying on with the character of Po, voiced by Jack Black, the Kung Fu Panda, who's been trained now and is now the kind of the master that leads the Furious Five. Everything is kind of, going good as normal. Everything seems fine, except for there is a new character introduced called Kai, played by or voiced by J.K. Simmons, who is a kind of a bull creature. Well, it's not a bull. It's a what's it called? I don't think, like a bull, is it, with horns and everything? No,
ram,
but a ram, something like, yeah. But basically, though, he is a creature that has been kind of sent away to the spirit realm, and through sort of events finds that he is able to sort of gather all the power of everything else that is in the spirit realm to enable him to come back to the real world. So of course he there is one of the sort of the greatest threats now, looking out to find all those who have more power, including dragon masters, for example, like Po. Po then finding, of course, he needs to kind of advance his learning and deal with things more, and being a panda, which is sort of the legend of pandas, are sort of one of the more the beings that are able to basically enable and control their chi, their energy flow. Has to try and figure out how to do this. Of course, how's he going to do that? Because his father, his real father, turns up, showing that there are sort of surviving pandas after having supposedly been hunted and all killed and wiped out, telling him that there is a sort of hidden mountain village where the last of their kind are sort of living in hiding, and of course takes Po to meet all of them so that he can learn the secrets of being able to master his chi. Here's a clip.
Everyone, Lee's back!
They're both back!
He found his son!
He made it!
They're back!
Lee? He found his son.
Everyone, Lee's back!
Hang on a sec.
Everyone, gather around. This is my son.
Hello, hi.
Oh, it's you.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, hi.
I don't know who you are.
Oh, stripy baby. So beautiful.
You look just like me, but a baby. You're like me, but old. You're like me, but fatter.
Oh, yeah.
You're like me, but with a hat.
Right, gonna go through this very quickly. It is kind of just more of the same with the Kung Fu Panda series. I love the first two films. I love this one as much. It's just fun. It's funny. The animation is very nice, and the backgrounds especially are beautifully rendered and animated. They're not distracting, but there's scenes where you kind of go, you'll be watching it and you'll go, oh, look at that in the background. That's nice, and it kind of like, oh yeah, but you'll still kind of get that. And I think it's just, the people who made these obviously loved them. They get into them, they have fun with them, and it's, if you like the other ones, there's nothing here to stop you liking this.
I like the other ones. I thought this was average at best. The animation is really nice. The story is quite mundane. The film itself, it plods a little bit too much. So, like I said, I really like the first two. I thought this one was average. Dip down in quality for me.
I thought it was going to. I found it to be. I mean, I like continuation. It wasn't. There's nothing bad about it. There's nothing exceptional, but it's just, again, more of the same. It's kind of like in the cinema section about how Now You See Me 2, but it's better than that is to a sequel to Now You See Me.
Yep. Right, onto my crop of films then. Allegiant, the third in the Divergent series. Speaking of a series, actually, which has dipped down in quality majorly, considering that the last film, Insurgent, less said about that, the better. It just did not have the feel of the Divergent film at all. This one, it's directed by Robert Schwentke. It returns most of the previous cast. So we've got Shailene Woodley, who plays Triss, and Theo James, who plays Four. It is their duty, well, they see it as their duty, to try and get outside of the wall. People have now discovered that it's not just them there is an outside to the wall after the message that was revealed at the end of the second film. And so Triss, alongside with Four and also Ansel Elgort's Caleb and Miles Teller's Peter and a couple of others, decide to make a break for it and decide to escape from the wall, thinking that they're escaping sort of like a totalitarian society for a one which is much better. They, however, fall into the trap that they fell in previous films, and lo and behold, it's a war between not only the factions now inside of the wall, but also everybody from the outside of the wall to the people on the inside of the wall. Here's a clip.
What are these?
Personal drones. Expands your field of vision and provides 3D modeling of environments. Here.
Thanks.
Activate the headgear. The left hand activates the drones.
Does it do anything else?
Not much. Use the drones to find the targets. It'll take you a while to get the hang of it.
Yeah. I think I got the hang of it.
The thing with Allegiant is it picks up pretty much where the last film ended, Insurgent, in quality-wise. It's just a series that has absolutely lost the plot. It's lost its way. The first one was an interesting movie, was a fun film. It came along when the Hunger Games was at its peak, and we had other movies which tried to copy that one there, but you sort of like forgave the Divergent film because it just felt a little bit more grittier in a way, whereas other ones were starting to become a little bit lighter. And then lo and behold, if you look at the Hunger Games, they actually became very dark and very political. With the Divergent film, it just felt like it had the lightness there, but it still was there was something questionable there with it, and it worked. Whereas Insurgent, it just threw all of that out the window. And the Legion just seems to follow the exact same suit. None of the characters seem to gel. As a matter of fact, their annoyances is heightened throughout this movie. We're also introduced to a new character played by Jeff Daniels, who plays David, who is just really bad in the movie itself. And just overall, it's just a series that I pretty much can't wait for it to finish, because there is one more film in the series to go, and that's it. And unless it's a million times better than what we have seen over the last two movies, then I hold no hope for it. Thoughts?
Okay. I look upon it as definitely the second one, Insurgent, was the big drop down from the first one. Divergent was a great thing. It had this whole thing. It had this world that was kind of set up, and it was the pacing, and it was really good. And when I saw it at the cinema, I didn't realise how long it was, and I walked out of it, I was like, wow, that was longer than I thought, and I really got into it. Second one was literally just a case of stripped down for action, and it was the horrible sequel. Oh yeah, big action, not much plot, not much story, anything going on. This one, I thought they kind of did step back from that a little bit. They didn't do just all action. They do have a couple of bits where it is kind of becomes an action film, but it tried to be a bit more. The problem is that it is kind of like the setup of the first half of a two-part thing, which it's kind of stretching out things a little bit more than it needs to, and it doesn't have that focus of where it's kind of, is it focusing on the outside world, is it focusing on the inside world? It doesn't focus on either particularly well, and it flip-flops between the two. And you've shown sort of stuff in the outside world, and I know it's there just to set up things for the next film, but it could have either not been there and just been said, referenced in dialogue, or it could have been there, it should have been there more, and it's not. And it's a kind of it's almost like it's a half-assed attempt to set up the next film. It could have done more, should have done more.
It's less than a half-bottomed attempt. I didn't want to say the A word, I just wanted to do the bottom. Hail Caesar is next, and directed by Joel and Ethan Cohen. Now, this is a movie that it's sort of like more akin to loads of different vignettes of films stitched into one, with a sort of like underlining story current running throughout. So the way I would put it is, in my horror brain, would be a portmanteau movie of sorts. But the main story itself is centers around Josh Brolin's character, who plays Eddie Mannix. He's now set in the 1950s. He's a Hollywood fixer for Capitol Pictures. Now, this is a person who fixes any problems. When a problem occurs with a star in the studio, he tries to actually fix it so nobody knows what's going on. So in this case, George Clooney's character of Baird Whitlock, who is a big, huge, massive star in the studio, he's actually shooting the biggest picture at the moment. He gets kidnapped. So it's up to Eddie Mannix to try and discover where he's gone, but also try to sort of like brush it under the carpet so much so that nobody else actually realizes he's missing. Or case in point, Tilda Swinton's character, she plays sort of like these twin journalists who's trying to get an interview with Baird Whitlock for a story that she's trying to run, but obviously Eddie Mannix doesn't want her to know that he's not there. Now, throughout the film itself, you've got loads of other different stories. You've got Channing Tatum's one who's doing a musical, and so you see him as a seaman with a huge, big dance number. You've also got Frances McDormand's character, who plays sort of like an editor in a studio there, and there's a really funny scene where she gets a sort of like scarf caught in a camera thing, so that's you've got that there. But the clip that I'm going to play you there, we've played it before because it's brilliant. Alden Ehrenreichs and Ralph Fiennes, Would that it were so simple.
Say your line exactly as I'm about to, just as I'm about to do.
Sure, okay.
Would that it were so simple.
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 My dear boy, why do you say that? Why do you say twere?
Well, you should say it like I said it.
Yes.
Would that it were so simple.
Would that it were so simple.
Would that it were so simple. Would that it were so simple.
Watch my mouth. Would that it were so simple.
Would that it were so simple.
Keep your head still. Would that it were so simple.
Would that it were so simple.
Would that it were so simple.
I'm trying to say that, Mr. Lawrence.
Lawrence?
I thought a minute ago it was Lawrence.
No, we can use Christian names, my good dear boy. Lawrence is fine, just as I called you Hobie.
Okay.
So, would that it were so simple.
Would that it were so simple.
Would that it were so simple. Trippingly.
Would that it were so simple. Trippingly.
No, don't say it trippingly. Say the line trippingly.
So you can't help but smile at that scene there. No matter how many times you hear it, you still sort of like have that giggle there. Alden Ehrenreich with sort of like a Texan twang to his voice, and just find it really difficult when Ralph Fiennes is doing the would that it were so simple. Yet if you're British, you pretty much can get that spot on no matter what. Yet Americans, they seem to have slight trouble. And it holds high hope for Alden Ehrenreich when he plays Han Solo, which is, again, well done casting on that front there. The thing with Hail Caesar is... I'm not as enamoured with the film as much as you are, but I still liked it because the film just oozes charm. It oozes fun. It's not there to tell a very serious story. It's not there to tell a very political story, even though there's very political undercurrents running all the way throughout the film itself. It's just there to have a bit of fun for the hour and 40 minutes that it's on for. It's not trying to be serious. You've got some very well choreographed, very well creative musical numbers. You've got some extra little vignettes there, and that one in the clip there just typifies them. And so you've got some really good acting. Tilda Swinton, she's on top form, but everything that she touches absolutely turns to gold. I love her as an actress. But everybody is just having a lot of fun, and that's what the whole film is. It's just a lot of fun. I didn't laugh that much through the film. I didn't find much of the film to be humorous, but I was smiling because it's the kind of thing that you would put on if you've had one of those annoying days. You just want to watch something that's very simple to follow, but will entertain you for a good hour and a half without having to suffer through really bad expositions, without having to look at really cheesy special effects or anything like that, suffer through really bad dialogue. It's fun. That's the whole film. It's just entertaining, old-fashioned fun.
It's a very witty film. It's a very it's kind of like you sit there and you may not be laughing at it, but you'll sit there and if you saw yourself in the mirror, you would have a face like the Joker, just with a big grin on your face for most of the film, and just smiling, having fun. It's got, I mean, there's a great, I don't really like musical things, but musical stuff, but there's a great sequence in it with Channing Tatum doing a whole scene basically of a film that is one of these old Sailor Time musical sing and dance things, and it's that kind of thing, and it just goes into it. It's a film where it kind of indulges that a lot. It goes into it and kind of gets lost in the scene, and then comes back out, and like the whole thing, someone shouts cut, and it goes back to them being actors and everything again. And but you're watching it, and you're just like, I'm getting into this. I'm loving it. I'm having fun here. I don't care. And it's a film that you just get swept away by it. You just do.
Yeah, it's fun, but like I said, I'm not as enamored with it as much as you are. The Boy. So we're shifting gears again with horror film this time, directed by William Brent Bell, who hasn't done very many films in the past. He did Stay Alive, which is a video game movie, which is, it borders on the edge of awful, but it's watchable. And then he did The Devil Inside, which is horrendous, really horrendous. This is the movie that I keep harking to, where the end of the film just flashes up a website. There is no end of the film at all. There is a website, a link to a web page. And so in this one, The Boy, it's a very straightforward story. It sees a nanny who's tasked with looking after a child of this old couple. However, she finds out that the child is not in fact a human boy, it's in fact a dummy. And so strange things are happening when this couple goes away. Here's a clip.
Malcolm will be by once a week with groceries and, of course, your payment. And I'm sure that he can answer any other questions that you might have. I'm sorry, I'm a bit off today. It's so long since we've gone anywhere. Be good to him and he'll be good to you. Be bad to him.
Oh, she will. Be good to him, won't you, Miss Evans?
Yes, I'll treat him like my own.
I'm so sorry.
Come along, my dear. It's time we left.
So you heard the way the music was playing there, the sort of like creepy undercurrents there, and that's sort of like indicative of how the film is. It's very straightforward. It doesn't try to do anything special. Then it has the very typical twist in the middle of the film itself to obviously introduce the more horror elements to it, and then it just follows the same kind of checkpoint blueprint kind of thing. Everything we've seen before. It's probably his most straightforward film. It's probably his best film as well, but this is a director who hasn't done very much at all in the way of good. As a matter of fact, if you look at his IMDb page, since 1997, including The Boy, he's directed 5 films. So that's not a brilliant catalogue when it comes to directing movies. He hasn't got a good track record. This isn't a movie that's going to sort of like elevate him into, we need him for the next Insidious movie, or we need him to do the next Conjuring film or something like that. It's not going to do that. Any bets I'll be surprised and I'll be asked to actually direct one of them. But overall, it's just very bog standard, boring kind of film. If you want to see a movie about a possessed doll, watch Child's Play, a Chucky film, or watch Dead Silence.
I don't think my other half liked this. I think she saw it and she was kind of bored by it and didn't really go with the ending.
Yeah, it's very stereotypical.
Yeah.
It's just a really typical kind of movie. Again, switching tact for another... There's so many gears on this cart here. Anomalisa. It's a stop-motion animated film directed by Charlie Kaufman. Director who you'll probably think, he's made some really strange movies, and this is indicative of the thing that he did. This is not for children. It's not a stop-motion animated movie like the Shaun of the Sheep movies or anything like that. It's not for children. It centers around the character of Michael Stone, who's played by David Thewlis, and now he's a specialist in customer service, and he's been invited to this symposium/seminar. He's going to give a speech there. Everybody has got... he looks at people in this world where they look exactly like him. They speak exactly like him. They've got facial features exactly like him. However, there is one shining light, Lisa, played by Jennifer Jason Leigh, who the second he hears a voice, he hears something completely different. Here's a clip.
Hi. Oh my God. It's you.
Hi. I'm sorry to bother you.
No, not at all. Do you want to come in? Or?
I was just looking for someone. I think I've got the wrong...
Who's there, Em?
It's Mr. Stone. Michael Stone.
Really? Oh my god. Oh my god. Hello? Oh, do I look awful? I was just taking my makeup off. Oh my god. Ugh, don't look at me.
Hello. No, you look lovely.
I can't believe you're in our room. We came here from Akron just to hear you speak. Oh my god, please don't look at me.
Well, I'm certainly very flattered. You can look at me.
Emily.
So in that clip there you also heard Tom Noonan, and they're the only three voices you hear through the entirety of the movie. David Thewlis, obviously, is the main character of Michael, and then Jennifer Jason Leigh, she does the voice of Lisa, and then Tom Noonan does the voice of every other single character who speaks in the film itself. Now, it's a film that you'll either get with or you won't. The animation is very tricksy to latch yourself onto because it's stop motion animation, but because the way it's actually done, it's got a more realistic look to it, and it's very creepy. It is really creepy. It's really difficult to watch the film without actually having to look away because you just feel slightly creeped out by it. The story has got a very touching element to it because he just wants to see something different in the world. He doesn't want to see people like exactly like him. That's what he hates the most because he thinks that his life is very sort of boring. He looks on life as just really straightforward and very dull. And when he does hear Lisa's voice, that's the thing that triggers it all. You've got one of the most awkward sex scenes I've seen in a sort of like animated stop motion film since Team America World Police. And that one is more comical. This one is more realistic in more ways than one. And it is quite awkward again to watch. But overall, it's if you're used to the way Charlie Kaufman creates these films, the sort of like weirdness with these movies, then you would really get along with it. If you're not a fan of Kaufman, there's no way you'll find anything interesting in this movie at all. But overall, I thought the film was fine, just because the acting from David Thewlis and Jennifer Jason Leigh and Tom Noonan is top notch. Their voiceovers is really well done.
I do want to ask about it. I do want to ask a thing, because the thing with Charlie Kaufman's films is that they're very, very downbeat, very kind of almost depressing, but they're almost at the same time also uplifting as well. I'm getting the feeling that it's not quite as uplifting this time around.
It is downbeat, but it does have uplifting moments to it, but it's more down because you just heard the way Michael was actually speaking in that clip there. He just had sort of like pull away kind of character. He just feels like with nothing going right with his life at all, with his relationship with his wife, with his daughter, he just has a pull-off kind of feel to him. Mustang, again, completely different tact movie. It's directed by Dennis James Ergoven. Now, the actresses involved, I'm going to give it a crack at this because there's 5 actresses involved and then they all need their own plaudits. You've got Gunnus Sensoy, Dogga Zenyap, Dogslu, that's a full name, interesting last name there, Tugba Sungarugalu, Elit Iskan, and Ilya Akdogan. Now, they're the 5 main actresses in the film. They play sisters. It's a Turkish film, and it's centered around these 5 sisters who live with their grandparents. They live a very sort of like shut-off life in a way. Then, during one day when coming back from school, they decide to have a sort of like illicit time with a group of boys, not in a sexual nature, but just swimming in a pool, in a pond, sorry. The neighbour sees them. The neighbour relays the information to their grandparents, and their grandparents are just disgusted by it. They think that all the neighbours are just going to talk about it, and so they lock these girls up. They lock them behind bars and sort of like keep them prisoner in their compound, very much like a film called Dogtooth. And so these girls live pretty much a lot of their life in this sort of like compound area. They're not allowed to have a discussion with anybody else until they decide to take it upon themselves to try and escape. There is one scene where they escape from the house to try and go and see a football match. They're then noticed at this football match by their godparents, and they're chastised even more. The only time they're fully allowed out of the house is when they're married off. And so they do not get a choice of who they're going to marry. They're told they've got to marry this person, and that's it. The film itself is fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic because acting-wise, each one of the girls who I've just mentioned there put in a 100% performance. Brilliantly well constructed, brilliantly. Each character has different nuances, but each one you feel for them because the fact that they're trapped behind bars, they're more like animals rather than human beings. So it's a brilliant character study on that one there. Just the way the film flows, it just has an interest from beginning to end. Their plight, you just feel sorry for them. You just really do feel sorry for them throughout the film, and so overall, it's definitely a must-see. It was nominated for the best foreign language film at this year's Oscars. Obviously, that was won by Son of Saul, which is a fantastic film as well. So the best foreign language film, every single one, I'm eventually getting through each one of them. They've actually produced some fantastic movies, and I think I've only got like one more to see out of the list, and so I can't wait for it. So yeah, Mustang, definitely worth seeing.
Okay, and the final movie this week.
It's the throwaway film of the week. I Lived, directed by Frank Calhoun, who's worked alongside Alexander Aja on previous films. His previous film was Maniac. He also did a very underrated movie which a lot of critics absolutely hated, which I thought was fine, was P2.
Which can I just check, which version of Maniac?
The remake.
The Elijah Wood one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Because Calhoun wasn't around when the original came out.
Okay.
Very early 80s. As a director anyway, he was obviously born, but as a director, yeah. So he did that, hence why I said he worked alongside Alexander Aja. So Aja was producer on Maniac. He was also a producer on P2 as well, which again, I liked P2. Now, I Lived, very simple story. It centers around the character of Josh, played by Jeremiah Watkins. He's a guy who, he has a web series on a YouTube-esque kind of application, and he reviews apps. One day he discovers this app called I Lived, and it's just a simple app where you enter in something that you want. So for example, his first thing is that he was always wanting a six-pack, and they give you motivation. So they give you things that pop up on your phone screen to say, oh, you should do this, but you need to recall what you're doing. So it's very simple, and then all of a sudden it goes, I would like a girlfriend. And then things start to spiral out of control when the app asks him to kidnap people, and he decides to delete the app, but obviously the app's going nope. And then he discovers an obvious discovery about the app, which I'm not going to give away, but if you just even have a modicum of a tiny little brain, you can discover it. Clue, the title. Overall, the film itself, it's boring. It's really boring. Calhoun, Maniac, is a very well constructed film, very creepy, very nasty movie. P2, even though, like I said, a lot of critics hated on it, I thought it was fine. It was okay. It worked. It was entertaining enough for the 90 minutes. This one, when you think it's about to start getting going, it just falters. It's just bad. It's like an app itself, but it's an app that plays out in very slow motion. When it gets to the end, you're thinking to yourself, where the heck did that come from? This is how the film itself should have played out. It's creepy, the ending, but the whole film itself is boring, so you have to sift through 90 minutes of jargon, of just pretty much T's and C's, terms and conditions, to get to the nice little bit of nugget at the end of the movie. So overall, the film itself is just not very good.
Okay, that's it for this week's show. Thank you for those who've been listening live or anywhere else listening on podcast land. If you're looking for details of where you can find us, things like that, you have, of course, go through the list. mondaymovieshow.co.uk, email us mondaymovieshow@yahoo.com, Twitter, you can find us at mondaymovieshow. I'm on there at AHDVD, Stuart is on there at Cryptic Tadpole. And you can find us Facebook as well at facebook.com/Monday Movie Show. You'll find the show also gets hosted on the website Following the Nerd, which we're involved with, followingthenerd.com. And as you heard the advert during the middle of the show, we have connections with FromPage2Screen.com, the number 2 in the middle there, who will be back sometime around about end of August, September, I believe, for the next sort of things, just taking a little break.
Shows he's trying to do, but then he's off to Comic-Con.
Yeah.
The end of the month, so that once he gets back
from
that, that's
so
it.
he'll be at the San Diego Comic-Con, I believe. Then is that the one? Yeah. So he'll be there with when the Alien thing's going on. We'll have to actually get in that. Yeah. And so this week, obviously, we've gone through a selection of those films. But before we,
following the game,
oh yes, following the game.
Tomorrow night.
It is tomorrow night. Yeah.
Tomorrow night.
Okay.
It was supposed to have been done on Saturday, but Al and Shane had some problems with being able to do it, so tomorrow night.
Okay.
And I don't know if we know this, but did you know that Suicide Squad has been given a 15 certificate here?
I did not, no.
Yeah, it's been granted a 15 certificate in the UK.
Interesting. Has this just been announced there? Yeah.
I don't know, but because my cinema has put up a few preview screening showings of it times, so you can pre-book your tickets. They've got the age certificate beside it, so it's got a 15 certificate.
Interesting. Okay, before we wrap everything up though, as with every show, TV movies of the week. So upcoming week, you want to go through your ones?
I've only got one.
One.
It's on Friday the 15th at 11 PM on Spike.
Okay.
It's a channel which we very rarely actually mention, but it's on Spike. Warrior.
Oh
so
yeah.
I was looking through all the rest of the films and I couldn't find anything that interesting there, and I saw Warrior and I thought, yes, every single time that one crops up, I'm going to recommend it. It's a brilliant film.
I did have it listed down. I also had listed, because on the same night at 11:15 on Film 4 is repeated again Odd Thomas, which we said last week, was our both agreed TV movie of the week. If you didn't see it, then you should see that. So it's a difficult decision on that night between the two. Obviously, you can watch one and record the other or something, or do whatever you do with your DVRs and such. But my other shout outs for the week, Thursday the 14th of July on Film 4 at 6:15 PM, so kind of an early evening one, Clear and Present Danger, because I do like the Tom Clancy ones. This is the one with Harrison Ford playing the character of Jack Ryan, who's been played by 5 actors now. Or 4 actors. 5 actors, and is getting a TV series on Amazon as well.
Really?
Yep, that's happening as well. You have on Saturday the 16th of July on Film 4 11:25 PM Magic Mike, which we've said again before. It's a very, very good film. Steve Soderbergh, and it's not just about stripping. It's a very, very good sort of drama, and a great Channing Tatum sort of acting film as well. But I'm going to say my TV movie or movies double bill, and I could do this because it's the same night, same channel, one after the other. Sunday 17th, Channel 4, 8 o'clock is Thor. So the Kenneth Branagh directed first outing for Chris Hemsworth's character, which is I think a very good and underrated film, and it's not big on action, but it's a good sort of, it's that Shakespearean tragedy feel to it, which is great with why they had Kenneth Branagh. And then after that, 10:15 is Dredd, which we've said again, time and time again, but that's a great double bill there. Thor and then Dredd afterwards. Very, very different, but
yeah, by the looks of things, the Dredd sequel is not going to happen, but there are murmurs that it will be a TV series instead.
I would have no problem with that whatsoever.
Yeah.
So before we finish up, all we got to do is movie of the week.
Ghostbusters.
Really? Okay, I wasn't expecting that. Mine is Neon Demon, but as that may be a little bit too much for some people, and obviously being rated 18, if that's kind of a bit difficult or you're not sure, then on DVD I would say Hail Caesar.
Yeah, Ghostbusters.
No, I don't know. Well, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm not massive on the whole Ghostbusters thing anyway, so I'm kind of.
Will you be seeing it?
To be honest, probably not. I'll just wait. I'll have to do the DVD bit of it, but
Surprising.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a big fan of the first films. I've seen them. First one actually is a little bit freaky to me. The librarian ghost. The librarian ghost.
Yeah, they're trying
really
to copy that in this one, not very successfully though.
Yeah. But that is it for this week's show. We are about to finish as ever with a clip. We don't have a clip for next week's films because they're kind of a bit of a weak selection. But in a few weeks' time, 2 weeks' time, we have Star Trek Beyond. Don't have a clip of that yet, but we do have a clip of the week after that. Jason Bourne is back in his self-titled film Jason Bourne, with Matt Damon returning to the role and Paul Greengrass returning as directing.
Yeah, next week's show we'll look at Ice Age Collision Course, which I've already seen as well.
Yeah.
I saw that last Saturday, which is not very good.
Okay.
Hint, hint.
Right. So, until then, next week, which details will be up on mondaymovieshow.co.uk, and we'll see you when that is confirmed, probably next Monday, but obviously check out the website for details as soon as they are put up. So until next week, we will leave you with this clip, as I said, from Jason Bourne, which also stars Alicia Vikander and Tommy Lee Jones, as you'll hear in this clip, speaking to Jason over the phone, trying to convince him of something. Here's a clip. Till next week, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bourne, my name is Heather Lee. I'm not in charge here. I wasn't here when you went missing. I can see you going through the old Treadstone files, retracing your history. I know you're looking for something. Let me help you find it.
Give me that phone.
Yes, sir.
Jason, this is Robert Dewey. Do you remember me?
Jason, your dad was a patriot.
He could see the threats that America was facing, and like you, he chose to serve his country
Out of a profound sense of duty.
He would not want to see you harm the agency.
You have to stop this. And you have to stop it now.